You knew the stop loss. You placed it exactly where it should be. Below support. Logical. Clean. Based on structure. And then you moved it. Not because you're stupid. Not because you forgot your rules. Not because you don't know better. You moved it because your brain panicked. And that panic, that override of everything you know, that's not a character flaw. That's biology. And until you understand what's happening inside your head when you trade, you're going to keep doing the same things over and over while wondering why nothing changes. Here's what you need to understand. Your brain was designed to keep you alive. Not to make you money. Not to help you follow a trading plan. To keep you alive in a world where immediate threats meant immediate death. And every single mechanism that kept your ancestors alive is now actively destroying your trading account. Let me show you what I mean. You take a loss. A normal loss. Part of your plan. Part of your edge. You risked 1%. The trade didn't work. You move on. Except you don't move on. Because your brain just registered that loss as a threat. Not intellectually. Not consciously. But deep in the limbic system, in the parts of your brain that evolved millions of years ago, something just triggered. You lost resources. And losing resources, in evolutionary terms, is dangerous. It means less food. Less safety. Less ability to survive. So your brain does what it's designed to do. It tries to get those resources back immediately. And that's why, 30 seconds after taking a loss, you're scanning the charts for the next trade. Not because your strategy says to. Because your survival mechanism says you need to recover what you lost right now. This is overtrading after losses. And it's not a discipline problem. It's a biology problem. Now let's talk about what happens when you have a winner. You enter a trade. It goes your way. You're up $50. Then 100. Then 150. Your target is 200. You plan this. You know your edge requires you to let winners run. But that $150 feels so good. It's real. It's there. It's yours. And your brain starts calculating. If I take this now, I lock in the win. I secure the reward. I eliminate the uncertainty. Because here's what your brain knows. Uncertain future reward is less valuable than certain immediate reward. This is called temporal discounting. And it's why your ancestors survived. The bird in hand was always better than two in the bush. Because the two in the bush might be gone tomorrow. The bird in hand can be eaten today. So your brain pressures you to close the trade. To take the profit. To eliminate the uncertainty. And you do. You close at 150. You feel good for about 30 seconds. Then you watch that trade run to 300. And you realize you just cut your winner in half. Again. This is why you exit winners early. Not because you don't know better. Because your brain is doing exactly what it's designed to do. Secure immediate rewards. Avoid uncertain outcomes. Now let's talk about holding losers. You take a trade. It goes against you. It hits your stop loss. Your plan says exit. Your rules say exit. Your risk management says exit. But you don't exit. Because exiting means realizing the loss. It means making it real. It means accepting that you were wrong and the money is gone. And your brain will do almost anything to avoid that feeling. So instead of exiting, you start negotiating. Maybe it'll come back. Maybe it just needs time. Maybe the analysis is still valid and the market just hasn't realized it yet. You're not analyzing the market anymore. You're avoiding pain. And here's why. Psychologists have proven that humans feel the pain of loss about 2.5 times more intensely than the pleasure of an equivalent gain. Losing $100 hurts way more than making $100 feels good. This is called loss aversion. And in a normal environment, it's protective. It keeps you from making reckless decisions. It keeps you from risking what you have. But in trading, it destroys you. Because every stop loss is a guaranteed realized loss. It's certain pain. And your brain will generate every possible reason to avoid that certain pain, even if it means risking much larger uncertain pain later. So you hold. You hope. You pray. And you watch that 1% loss turn into 3%. Then 5%. Then you're in a hole so deep that you're not even thinking straight anymore. This is why you hold losers too long. Not because your strategy is wrong. Because your biology is working exactly as designed. Let me tell you about revenge trading. You take a loss. Or worse, you take 2 losses. Now you're down for the day. You're frustrated. You're angry. And your brain interprets this as an attack. Not metaphorically. Literally. The same neural circuits that fire when you're physically threatened are firing right now. Your amygdala is activated. Your cortisol levels are elevated. You're in fight or flight mode. And what does your brain want to do when it's under attack? Fight back. So you open another trade. Not based on your criteria. Not based on your edge. Based on your need to win. Based on your need to prove you're not weak. Based on your need to recover what was taken from you. This is revenge trading. And it feels like strength. It feels like you're fighting back. It feels like you're not giving up. But you're not fighting the market. You're fighting your own emotional state. And you're using your capital as ammunition. I've seen traders take perfect trades all morning. Follow every rule. Execute flawlessly. Then take 1 loss and completely fall apart. 5 trades in the next hour. All garbage. All emotional. All designed to make the pain stop. And by the end of the session, they've given back the entire week's profit plus some. Not because they don't know what to do. Because their brain hijacked their decision-making process. Here's the part that makes this even worse. You know all of this. You've read the books. You've made the rules. You've written them in your journal. You've promised yourself you'll follow them. And then you break them anyway. You journal about overtrading. Then you overtrade. You write down not to revenge trade. Then you revenge trade. You commit to holding your stops. Then you move them. And you feel like a failure. You feel weak. You feel like you're not cut out for this. But here's what's actually happening. You're trying to use conscious willpower to override unconscious biological programming. And willpower loses that fight almost every time. Because your conscious mind, the part that makes plans and journals and sets rules, that's slow. It's deliberate. It requires energy. Your unconscious mind, the part that runs on instinct and emotion and survival mechanisms, that's fast. It's automatic. And it doesn't care about your rules. So when you're under pressure, when you're feeling fear or greed or pain, your unconscious mind takes over. And it does what it's designed to do. Avoid pain. Seek immediate reward. Eliminate threats. Your journal can't compete with millions of years of evolution. Let me give you a real example. There's a trader I know. Smart guy. Understands the market. Has a profitable strategy. Back-tested. Proven. Works. But he can't stay profitable for more than a month at a time. He'll have 3 good weeks. Following his plan. Executing well. Building his account. Then week 4 hits. He takes a couple losses. Normal variance. Part of the game. But something shifts. He starts checking his positions more frequently. Every 5 minutes instead of every hour. He's feeling anxious. He's feeling behind. Next trade, he exits early. Locks in a small profit. Tells himself he's being smart. Being cautious. But his strategy requires letting winners run. So he just destroyed his risk-to-reward ratio. Then he takes a loss. And instead of following his cooldown period, instead of stepping away like his rules say, he immediately looks for another trade. Not his setup. Close enough. He takes it. It loses. Now he's frustrated. Now he's angry. Now he needs to make it back. Next 3 trades. Pure revenge. No plan. No setup. Just emotion and hope. By the end of the week, he's given back 2 weeks of profit. And here's what he tells himself. I need more discipline. I need to try harder. I need to be better. But that's not the problem. The problem is he's trying to fight his biology with effort. And that's not a fight you can win. So here's the truth most traders never realize. You're not competing against other traders. You're not competing against institutions. You're not even competing against the market. You're competing against your own brain. And your brain is actively working against you. Every time you feel the urge to overtrade, that's evolution. Every time you want to cut a winner early, that's biology. Every time you can't pull the trigger on a stop loss, that's survival wiring. You are biologically programmed to fail at trading. And until you accept that, until you stop fighting it and start working with it, you're going to keep struggling. Because here's what doesn't work. Trying harder. More discipline. Stronger willpower. Journaling more. Setting better rules. None of that addresses the root problem. The root problem is your brain is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's just that what it's supposed to do is the opposite of what profitable trading requires. Now let me show you what professional traders do differently. They don't have superhuman discipline. They don't have iron willpower. They don't have some special gene that makes them immune to emotion. What they have is systems. Systems that work with their biology instead of against it. Let me give you an example. Professional traders don't rely on willpower to avoid overtrading. They remove the ability to overtrade. They set hard limits. 3 trades per day maximum. Once you hit 3, the platform closes. Done. They don't try to resist the urge. They make it physically impossible to act on the urge. Professional traders don't rely on discipline to hold their stops. They set them and they don't watch the trade. They go do something else. They remove themselves from the situation where their brain can generate reasons to move it. They don't fight the fear. They design their process so the fear never gets a chance to interfere. Professional traders don't rely on patience to let winners run. They use alerts. They set a target. They close the platform. They don't sit there watching it fluctuate. Because they know that watching it fluctuate triggers their temporal discounting mechanism. Triggers their need to secure immediate reward. So they remove themselves from the decision. They let the market decide. They trust the plan they made when they were calm, not the emotion they feel when they're in the position. This is the difference. Amateurs try to be stronger than their biology. Professionals design systems that account for their biology. Here's a framework that actually works. First, you need to accept that you cannot trust yourself under pressure. Not because you're weak. Because you're human. Your in-trade self and your planning self are 2 different people. Your planning self is calm and rational. Your in-trade self is emotional and reactive. So you need to make decisions when you're calm and then remove your ability to override those decisions when you're emotional. Second, you need to pre-commit to outcomes. Before you enter a trade, you write down exactly what you'll do in every scenario. If it hits my stop, I exit and I don't trade again for 2 hours. No exceptions. If it hits my first target, I close half and trail the rest. No exceptions. If I feel the urge to revenge trade, I close the platform and go for a walk. No exceptions. You're creating rules for emotional you that rational you designed. Third, you need circuit breakers. Automatic stop points that remove discretion. After 2 losses, you're done for the day. Not after 3. Not after you feel like stopping. After 2. After you hit your daily profit target, you're done. Not after you try for a little more. Not after you see one more setup. Done. These aren't suggestions. These are hard limits. And they protect you from yourself. Fourth, you need to track your emotional state, not just your trades. Before every trade, you rate your emotional state from 1 to 5. 1 is calm and objective. 5 is emotional and reactive. Then you review your results by emotional state. And what you'll find is your trades at 1 and 2 make money. Your trades at 4 and 5 lose money. Once you see that data, you can't unsee it. And suddenly the rule becomes obvious. Don't trade unless you're at a 1 or 2. Not because someone told you. Because your own data proved it. Now let's talk about the real work. Most traders spend their time learning strategy. Learning patterns. Learning indicators. And all of that is useless if you can't execute under pressure. The real work isn't chart work. It's brain work. You need to train your brain to recognize its own patterns. To feel the urge to overtrade and not act on it. To feel the fear of holding a stop and hold it anyway. This doesn't happen by accident. This happens through deliberate practice. You need to expose yourself to the emotional states that cause problems in a controlled environment. You need to practice feeling fear without reacting. Feeling greed without chasing. Feeling frustration without revenge trading. This is what professional athletes do. They practice under pressure. They simulate game conditions. They train their nervous system to stay calm when their biology is screaming at them to panic. Traders need to do the same thing. But most traders never do this. They just hope they'll be disciplined when it matters. And hope is not a strategy. Here's what changed for me. I used to think my problem was strategy. So I'd learn a new pattern. Test a new indicator. Try a new time frame. And nothing worked. Because the strategy wasn't the problem. Then I started tracking my emotional state during trades. And I realized something obvious. Every bad trade I took was when I was emotional. Every rule I broke was when I was reactive. My strategy worked fine. I just couldn't execute it when my brain was in survival mode. So I stopped trying to fix my strategy and started designing systems to manage my emotional state. I set hard limits. 3 trades maximum per day. 2-hour cooldown after any loss. Mandatory 15-minute break after any win. I removed my ability to make emotional decisions. And my results transformed. Not because I got better at trading. Because I got better at managing myself. Here's what most traders don't realize. The reason you're not profitable isn't because you don't know enough. You know plenty. The reason you're not profitable is because you can't execute what you know when your brain is working against you. And your brain is always working against you. Because your brain is designed to survive, not to trade. So the question isn't how do I learn more? The question is how do I build systems that account for my biology? How do I design my process so my emotional brain can't sabotage my rational brain? How do I make good trading automatic instead of something I have to fight for every single time? That's the work. That's what separates professionals from everyone else. Not knowledge. Not strategy. Systems that work with biology instead of against it. Let me give you something you can implement right now. Tomorrow, before you take a single trade, you write down your rules. Not general rules. Specific rules for tomorrow's session. I will take a maximum of blank trades. I will risk blank % per trade. If I hit blank losses, I will close the platform. If I hit my profit target, I will stop trading. If I feel the urge to revenge trade, I will blank instead. Fill in those blanks. Write them down. Make them specific. Then here's the key. Before every trade, you read those rules out loud. Every single trade. This forces your conscious brain to engage. It creates a speed bump between impulse and action. And most of the time, that speed bump is enough. You'll read the rule. You'll realize you're about to break it. And you'll stop. Not because you have great discipline. Because you created a system that makes discipline easier. Here's what I want you to understand. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're not missing some special trait that successful traders have. You're just trying to use conscious willpower to override unconscious biological programming. And that's not a fair fight. But you can win that fight. Not by being stronger. By being smarter. By designing systems that account for your biology. By creating rules for emotional you that rational you designed. By removing discretion from moments when you can't be trusted to make good decisions. This is the game. Not finding better entries. Not predicting moves. Managing yourself when your biology is screaming at you to do the wrong thing. And the moment you shift your focus from strategy to self-management, everything changes. Your win rate doesn't change much. Your strategy doesn't change at all. But your ability to execute that strategy consistently, that transforms. So here's my question for you. Are you going to keep fighting your biology with willpower? Or are you going to start designing systems that work with your biology? Are you going to keep blaming yourself for breaking rules? Or are you going to accept that you need better systems, not better discipline? Are you going to keep searching for the perfect strategy? Or are you going to realize the strategy isn't the problem? Because I can tell you right now, the perfect strategy doesn't exist. But the perfect system for managing yourself? That can be built. Today. By you. You don't need to trade better. You need to design better. Design a process that accounts for fear. Design rules that remove emotional decisions. Design limits that protect you from yourself. That's the work. That's what changes everything. Not more knowledge. Better systems. Your brain is wired to lose at trading. That's not your fault. That's evolution. But staying stuck is your choice. Because now you know. Now you understand what's happening. Now you can do something about it. Not by trying harder. By designing smarter. Your biology isn't going to change. But your systems can. And when your systems are strong enough, your biology doesn't matter anymore. That's when you stop fighting yourself. That's when you start winning. Not because you're stronger. Because you're finally working with yourself instead of against yourself. And that makes all the difference.